family members, loved ones, and friends. Thank you for joining Truth in Life today. I'm Johnny Sanders, and today we're going to have a tech talk. And today's tech talk discussion is built around AWS, AI, and machine learning architecture. Now, let me explain a little bit where this topic came from. Besides my work experience, this previous week I was blessed to be a part of writing a couple of articles for some journalists that are representing a couple of our top media companies in finance, and which again is a blessing for me and of course a great opportunity to share. So I wrote the articles and shared it with them, and I can't share what that particular article is about yet because it has to be publicized and published first, so on their end. So once that takes place, I'll do another video and we'll come back and we'll dive into what those articles were about that I believe will help you as well regarding finances, business, technology, AI, machine learning. But from that, I was asked to basically do this video. Thank you for those who know who they are, to do this video so I can help others, again, share more light regarding AI and help people continuously be comfortable with what AI is, machine learning, big, large, fancy titles, technology. Initially sounds scary, but once you get into it, once you start learning it, you'll start getting some better understanding of what it is and how we can use it and how it will better be useful to us, okay? Now, this is coming from a business perspective to help businesses utilize this in a structured way. So this is a structured guide for you to be able to utilize AWS, AI, and machine learning architecture. Okay, now before we get started, please click on subscribe, share this video for great content so we can continuously help others around the world. All right, be blessed and let's get started. So, AWS, AI, and machine learning architecture. So first you want to find out what the problem definition is and do some data collection, okay, by the company. So your objective is to define the business problem first, then try to find resolutions that are using AI, machine learning, and that will be able to gather relevant data. All right. So in this, you want to identify specifically, clearly what the problem is, whether it's the customer, churning predictions, fraud detections, image recognitions. That's just an example, okay? So for data sources, you want to collect data from various sources, such as Amazon S3 buckets that you have set up, unstructured data, okay? Amazon RDS, relational databases, Amazon Redshift, data warehouse, or external databases, okay? And we'll get into that as well. So some of the services that AWS provides that you can use is, of course, Amazon S3 buckets and AWS Glue for data discovery and ETL, extract, transfer, and load processes, all right? Now, I would say the second step that you can do is data processing, okay? Data processing featuring engineering, support, technology. This will give you a clean transfer and transforming of structured data to prepare for model training. And so in that model training, you will have data cleaning, handle missing values, the removal of duplication, and correct inconsistency. So it would basically do a scrub for you and do those checks in the process and make sure that the data is clean. So featuring our engineering process, a part of their responsibility would be to, excuse me, create features, new variables that might help the machine learning model platform. Okay. They want to basically gather this information and create those variables to make it perform better in a time-based feature and ratios. You want normalization, standardization as well. That's basically going to be able to be scaled up or scaled down of this particular type of data so that different features contribute equally to model performances. All right. So AWS services in this aspect is AWS Glue for ETL, extract, transform, and load, and data preparation. All right. So Amazon SageMaker Data Wrangler for feature engineering and data transformation. Okay. That's Amazon SageMaker. Amazon Athena for querying data, excuse me, um, that is stored in the S3 buckets using SQL. Now, our number 3 step, I would say, is model selection and training. All right. The objective is to choose the right algorithm based on the problem type and train the model within this AWS solution. Within this solution, you want to select model type. Depending on the problem, choose the appropriate algorithm. For example, a linear regression for prediction, possibly a convolutional neutral networks for image classifications, just to give an example. Okay. The model training would be train the model on prepared data, split the data into training, validation, and test sets. Okay. Those are different steps that you would take for training and testing. You want to hyperparameter tuning. You want to optimize hyperparameters like learning rate, batch size, the number of layers to improve performances, right? And with this, the AWS services would be, again, Amazon SageMaker for training and tuning machine learning modules. The SageMaker experiments for tracking and comparing different model versions. All right. The SageMaker also automates model tuning to automatically tune hyperparameters that has been built. All right. I would say step number 4. Step number 4 is basically module evaluation and validation. You want to be able to assess how the model is performing using different evaluation metrics according to your business, according to your departments, uh, using those metrics to validate and also testing that data once you received it, right? In the evaluation metrics process, you want to use metrics like accuracy, precision, timeliness, recall, all right, based on the model type. You want to do cross validation regarding different departments, to different users, to see how it performs under the K-fold cross validation test model re um, redesigning and also robustness, right? You want that to do the fine tuning, excuse me, to basically adjust the model based on evaluation results. AWS services, again, that you would use is the Amazon SageMaker. Um, this will basically help with the monitoring for real-time model evaluation, clarifying certain detection, keeping data unbiased, and of course biased to what you want as a company and a department for what you want. So if you're an accounting department, you just want some financial numbers, that's what you set it for. If you're in marketing or in sales, you would set it for how your marketing products are doing, how your sales products are doing. So this will basically keep you providing good, accurate data, fairness for that particular model set. Now, another service that you will use for this is Amazon CloudWatch for monitoring the performance of this particular application and setup. So number 5, the model deployment. So once you get things set up, just like our solutions development cycle, life cycle, there's a deployment phase. So you'll have validation, you'll have testing phases and stuff like that. So now we've gotten to where it's validated. Now we want to deploy it into production. So to deploy the trained model to serve predictions in real time or batch mode, which ETL is great for. So you would basically, in real time, use when there's low latency. So that way the predictions are good, valuable, traceable, monitored well. You don't want to do it at a high peak time, low peak time, right? Used for processing large data sets at once. That's what the batch processing would do, and using ETL will help with that. The model endpoint to create an API endpoint that applications can call to get predictions, to get information, to get this particular data that is basically being used right now in this particular machine learning. So in this particular machine learning, you definitely want to be able to scale up, scale down at any point. So to scale the endpoint to handle traffic using AWS auto scaling features, again using Amazon SageMaker, hosting to deploy the model as an endpoint. The SageMaker also uses it as a multi-model endpoint for deploying multiple models behind a single endpoint. Also, the services for AWS that you would use at this stage is AWS Lambda for deploying models in a serverless environment. Now we're talking automation, all right? So number 6, I would say, is model monitoring and management, okay? So basically the objective is to continuously monitor the performance of the deployed model and manage retraining as needed, all right? You want to be able to track model performance, drift in data, and anomalies. You want to be able to track if there's anything that is happening unusual. When you get a good monitoring, tracking, and standpoint in a standard, you want to make sure that it continuously stay in that standard. So any variations, you want to be able to recognize and get alerts on that very quickly so you can identify what is happening with your data. You want to basically create versioning. So if there's any updates, any falters that happens, you want to be able to maintain different versions of the model to track improvements. Okay. The Amazon SageMaker model, again, will be used for monitoring the detection of any data drifts. AWS CloudWatch also is used for monitoring, but it's used for logging and monitoring the predictions. Okay, so you'll know where to go and get the logs to be able to check this pretty easily. The Amazon SageMaker pipelines for automating the end-to-end workflow includes retraining. Okay. Number 7, which I think is very important in any technology that I always recommend, is security. Security and compliance, compliance for audit issues. Okay. And I say that because of my previous experience. I make sure that this is part of the process in the very beginning. So in the beginning, you have everything that you need to do to have a good project in place, good product. You're not just implementing something and then trying to figure out, oh, what happened here? Or if there's any issues that come up, how do we figure out the issues? You got logging, you have metrics, and of course, security. So you want to basically ensure that the data and the model security throughout the machine learning lifecycle is followed. Data encryption, uh, that happens in transit and rest using AWS key management services. You want to be able to have access controls at all times using IAM, which helps with roles and policies to restrict access to sensitive data. Okay. Audit trails, again, use logging services to maintain um, a record of access and changes to the data module. The AWS services that you're going to use again is AWS IAM, Identity and Access Management for security controls, AWS KMS for key management services for encryption, AWS CloudTrail for audit logging. Now, step number 8, I would say continuous integration, continuous delivery, that CI CD. And there's multiple ways that you can use this. It's a very good automating tool. It basically helps the automation of the machine learning workflow from model development to deployment and monitoring. So CI/CD pipelines help with data preparation, model training again, deployment, and retraining. All this is happening again multiple times within one for good, secured, clean, smooth data processing. So with this automation usage, it's basically going to be used for infrastructure as code, that's IAC, infrastructure as code, to deploy models using automated scripts. Okay, we're not going to get into scripts right now because that's another talk regarding programming languages. Okay, so those services for that is Amazon SageMaker, again, for pipelines for building and deploying machine learning workflows. AWS Code Pipeline for managing the CI/CD pipeline. AWS Step Functions for orchestration workflows within this particular machine learning setup using CI/CD. Okay. Now, last but not least, I take this into consideration in the beginning and at the end, and that's cost management. Before even engaging or purchasing a product or a company like AWS's services, cost management, right? Because basically, from a business perspective, you want to optimize the cost of what it's going to take to implement, what is it going to cost with training, what is it going to cost for storage, what is it going to cost for deployment and continual usage on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, month-to-month basis, annual basis. All right. You want to be able to do right size resourcing with AWS. Use spot instances for training to save costs. Model optimization by reducing the size of the model to lower deployment costs. Okay. That's very important and very key. Your engineers will know this when they're doing checks and monitoring on a daily basis. This is one of the things that they need to check to make sure that the cost is being managed, monitored, and traced on a monthly basis. So when reporting comes to the executive staff members, to accounting, they will be able to show a consistency. Okay. You want to be able to continuously monitor the resources consumption and adjust the architecture accordingly. That's why you need to monitor accordingly and report accordingly, basically on a month-to-month basis. Very standard and easy to do from my perspective. Okay. And from AWS, the Cost Explorer for tracking and analyzing AWS spending, AWS budgets for setting cost limits for your business, SageMaker Neo for optimizing models for different hardware to reduce the cost. Okay, so this is one of the architectures that I provided for business usage, and of course you would tailor make it for your business. You would use different programming languages, scripts, to basically be utilized specifically for your business, your company, and of course security measures and setting up those particular IAM security roles and parameters for your team members' usage, right? So these steps basically is going to help you create a scalable and secure and efficient machine learning architecture using AWS, AI, and the machine learning services. Okay? So this has been a tech talk that I thoroughly enjoyed sharing with you guys, and look forward to the next one that I will put out. But until then, I want you guys to continuously learn as you grow in this lifetime so that you can continuously be good, but dare to be great. Be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.